Hey, I got a question for you. And my question is not rhetorical. It's a question that requires you to really think. It is a question that should be thought provoking. Are you ready for elevation? Ask yourself that question. Am I ready for elevation? Hey, listen, this is Dr. Mac, the Truth and Transparency Coach. I'm dropping yet another nugget. We're talking about elevation. You know, I've sat at many tables, I've been in many rooms, and I've sat in many seats where we've talked about elevation, we've tapped on elevation. I've heard people say they desired elevation, but you know what? There's one problem. You know what that problem is? While we desire a thing, we have not prepared for that thing. Yeah. In order to elevate, it requires some things. I'm going to give you a few steps in hopes that you implement them so that you can prepare yourself for elevation. Okay? The first one is you have to change your perspective. That includes changing the way that you look at things and even the way you hear things. I say that because sometimes we will be involved in conversations, and depending on what is being said, we can look at things from a skewed lens, meaning it's foggy. You can't see through it. And if you can't see through it, you can't think through it, right? And so preparation for elevation requires you to change your perspective. Heck, you might even need to change the prescription of your contact lens and the lenses in your glasses so that you can see differently. If that's what you got to do, boo, then go on and do it, right? The second thing is that you have to learn how to move differently, and you have to do it with intention, not from a place of deceit, not from a place of secrecy, but from a place of moving intentionally because you're moving onward and upward. Elevation requires you to go up, not down, right? And so sometimes you have to change the way you move. You know, it's no longer when you move, I move. It's just like that. Instead, it's you move over there and I'm going to go over here because the elevation awaits me. One of the other things is I like this one is breathing differently. I think about when you get on a plane and you prepare to ascend, right? And you have the flight attendant giving all of the safety rules and whatnot. And the one thing that stands out, yes, we talk about the seatbelt, but the biggest thing that stands out or stood out to me is that when you're in the cabin and they say if the cabin loses its oxygen, the oxygen mask will fall down in front of you. You have to grab hold and you got to put it on. What does that mean? You have to be intentional. Because otherwise you won't be able to breathe. Anyway, so you have to be intentional to change the way that you breathe. Yes, elevation requires a change in your inhaling and exhaling, right? When you're going up and ascending in the plane, some people's ears will pop. Other people's chests will get a little bit tight. Why? Because the air quality changes. It gets lighter, right? And as it gets lighter, you have to be intentional to change the way that you breathe, because if you don't, you may find yourself becoming an emotional wreck. That's my next point. You got to learn how to harmonize your emotions, not become so emotional. You know, don't get in your feelings all the time, or get chips on your shoulders and allow the chips on your shoulders to weigh you down where you're not able to elevate. So you got to learn to change your breathing, and in changing your breathing, harmonize their emotions. Yeah. You got to learn how to think outside of the box. You know, some people say they want elevation, they want network, they want new friendships, they want new relationships, and all of them, their ships and all of that. But guess what? In order for you to get on that ship and sail, you got to get all aboard. Meaning you got to get on board. That on board requires you to change some things. I think about when you get on you prepare to get on the ship to go out to sail, there are some rules that you have to follow. In addition to rules, you have to prepare yourself. You got to pack some things in your bag. I think about people who, they may get seasick. And so they tell them you get that medication so that you won't be so nauseous or you won't get a headache and so on. That's preparation. And so for elevation, it requires a preparation and a change of your perspective. Here's another one. You got to change your habits. You got to change your habit. You can't keep doing the same old thing. You can't be hanging around the same old people. Now, hey, let me put a pause for the cause right there. When I say change your environment or the people, if those people are not fruitful, if those people do not help hold you accountable, that's another one. And help you to be responsible, then yeah, you change the circle in which you're in. But if those people that you are connected to are rightfully holding you accountable, causing you to be responsible to help push you forward, then why would you disconnect? They can help you elevate. Because if you disconnect prematurely, where's your elevation? Anyway, next point. Change your appearance. I know this was probably an issue with some people because they think that they can just show up any kind of way, show up with spots on your shirt and your clothes and your pants too long. They dragging the floor. You got food in your teeth and you got sleep in your eye and your hair is like you ain't combed it in a week or so and, so on and so forth. No, you want elevation, boo. You're going to have to change your appearance. Yeah, it's not that you're trying to prove yourself to somebody. How about prove yourself to yourself? Because you desire something greater and bigger, but you're not putting yourself in the place to receive it. Okay. Be relational. I think I mentioned that, but I think I gotta mention it again. Be relational. Learn how to communicate with people. Learn how to have dialogue and open dialogue and communication. Don't just sit at a table that you were invited to where you just sit and you don't have no dialogue. You don't know how to communicate and, you shrink up your face and so on and so forth. Elevation requires dialogue. Elevation requires a level of communication that you may not be familiar with. That's okay. Go take a speech class. I'm just dropping some nuggets to help you prepare to elevate. And the last one, because I got a lot, but for the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and shrink it and keep it simple. You can get at me later if you want some more nuggets. So the last one is own your part. Yeah. Elevation requires responsibility. And here we go. Accountability. It does. Collaboration. It does. And guess what? Seeding yourself to be taught. In other words, be okay with being a continued student, because elevation is a place where you're always learning. It's not you get up there and you think that you have it all together and you need to stop learning. No. Accountability, responsibility. Even when you elevate, you're still learning. So, when you're ready to elevate, take them nuggets and implement them. And when you implement them, begin to move forward. Hey, this is Dr. Mac, the Truth and Transparency Coach. Dropped yet another nugget. Be ready to elevate. Talk to you soon.